Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a very cool core breaker for the current Open Ultra League meta, and that is REGICE. REGICE definitely feels like a bit of a forgotten Pokemon. I can't remember the last time that I saw it used in the Open Ultra League. However, with the Bolt Beam coverage that it gets from running Thunder and Blizzard, it has amazing coverage into the meta, and it's a safe switch thanks to having Thunder. It is able to win the Zero Shield from Poliwrath counter switches, allowing you, even if you're looking to bait out a Poliwrath, to still generate shield advantage. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's check out REGICE in the Open Ultra League. Hopping to the first match, leading Tentacruel into Guzzlord. I'm going to look to save switch out of this matchup as I do want to check and see if there's a counter user lurking in the back. So I throw 2 poison jabs, save switch into the REGICE, and my opponent is going to stay in here and fire off the brutal swing. I continue to farm, opponent is going to send in Tentacruel, and Tentacruel is not going to appreciate the speed at which REGICE gets the Thunder. Thunder number 1 is able to grab a shield, I continue to overfarm, and I'm going for Thunder number 2. This will do a massive amount of damage to that Tentacruel. I continue to farm. My opponent is forced to throw energy as I would have been able to make it to a 3rd Thunder. Scald is going to pick up the knockout. I'm going to send in my own Tentacruel and potentially look for an aggressive Poison Jab farm down after landing a Scald. My opponent is going to go for a Scald and they do get the debuff. That is quite unfortunate. I'm going to go for the Scald. This, of course, is a resisted and debuff move, so it's really not going to do a lot of damage. That connects. My opponent is going to fire off another charge move here. It is going to be another Scald. Do they get another debuff? Yes, they do. I'm going to farm up, bank the Blizzard, and snipe with my Guzzlord. Now I should be at energy parity with my opponent when it comes to our Guzzlords. I'm farming up quite a lot of energy, and I do win charge attack priority over my opponent's Guzzlord. That is very useful information. They're shielding, so I'm going to shield, and we should get to this next Dragon Claw at the same time, but the important thing, of course, is that I'm going to win the CMP tide. That is absolutely massive, as now I don't have to give up the final shield. I can pick up the knockout. In the back, opponent has Ampharos, and this game is absolutely over. I can make it to the Brutal Swing. This will do quite a lot of damage, and my switch timer will be up, and I have energy stored on that Tentacruel, so I can switch back into the Tentacruel. The Blizzard ends up being massive overkill. Honestly, I forgot what side the Scald was on, but either way, we take the win. Picking up a bit of a tough lead in the next match, Tentacruel into Defense Deoxys. Defense Deoxys is a definite core breaker for this team, as it can hit the entire team for super effective damage. My opponent overfarms by 1, they go for the Psycho Boost. They're now going to save switch into Greedent, and I'm going to be firing off the Scald. I'm looking for that attack drop. Scald connects, no attack drop, so a bit of unfortunate luck, and I'm going to send in the Guzzlord. I have sometimes seen this team with a Steelix in the back. Steelix not nearly as common as it once was, but if there is a Steelix in the back, I do want to preserve the REGICE, as REGICE can put up quite a nice fight there. Opponent is going to spam out these body slams with the Greedent, and I'm going for the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing is going to do some nice damage to the Greedent. Greedent is firing off another move. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to look to tank this and try and go for a farm down. I continue to farm. Opponent, their switch clock is up, and they take full advantage, switching into the Deoxys, but they switch into a loaded Brutal Swing. I'm now going to send in my Tentacruel. Tentacruel, you know what? I decide I'm going to keep it healthy. I am going to double shield here, and now I'm looking to overfarm quite a bit and go for the Scald. Scald will pick up a knockout if my opponent lets it through, and they are going to commit a shield. Again, I do not get the debuff, so very unfortunate RNG in this match. My opponent is going to fire off a Thunderbolt. That does quite a lot of damage. I'm looking for the farm down here, and I get it. That's massive. Their Greedent is very low on health. In the back, it's a Zygarde. Okay, I'm going for the Scald bait. Scald is shielded. I do get the attack drop. Can I make it to the Blizzard? No. But guess what? I have a second Blizzard user on the team. In comes a REGICE. Opponent farming up energy. They send in the Greedent. I bring in the Guzzlord to force them to throw energy. And at this point, this game is won. They have nothing preventing the REGICE from Blizzarding the Zygarde. I decide to go for a little bit of extra energy here just because I want to see how much damage this Earthquake does. That does not do a lot, and now it's time. If you've ever had a frustrating battle against the Zygarde, this is for you. Get absolutely one shot, and that's a good game. Picking up a positive lead in the next match, Tentacruel into Skeletor. Skeletor is able to outpace in this lead matchup as they're going to make the Shadow Ball one turn before I make it to the Scald. Shadow Ball does hit very hard here. As you can see, I'm already below half health. Opponent is going to save switch into Wall Rain. I'm able to hold on to my energy and respond with REGICE. Again, this Bolt Beam coverage, having an electric move and an ice move, is really nice in this meta. REGICE does also learn Focus Blast, but I ended up really liking Blizzard, as Blizzard does give you an out in case the opponent is going to send in something like a Virizion or a Giratina. Here, I could have thrown a move before they got to the Earthquake, but I decided I would actually rather take that damage. Taking that damage is important, as that is going to prevent the Skeletor from getting a massive amount of farm. My opponent is probably going to be sending back in the Skeletor, and they do. I'm firing off the Thunder, and I will look to try and pivot out if I can. The Thunder will be no-shielded. I pivot back into the Tentacruel. In the back, it's a Shadow Poliwrath, and I am so happy that I pivoted here, as now I can start spamming these Scalds and looking for debuffs. Unfortunately, no debuff to be seen from the first Scald. I'm going for Scald number 2. That's going to connect. There is the debuff. My opponent is going to be forced to throw energy here, as I was just shy of making it to another Scald. They go for the Scald. That's going to pick up the knockout. I can send in the Guzzlord. Guzzlord is now going to be met with an Icy Wind, but this, of course, will do way less than a double super effective move from the Skeletor. Skeletor is going to be firing off Disarming Voice here. I am going to be respecting it with a shield. They still have 2 shields to get through, which is going to be a bit uncomfortable. I am debuffed, so I don't have the fast move pressure that I typically would. I go for the Dragon Claw. I throw 1. Wait 2 turns and get the catch on REGICE. That's a game-winning catch right there. And now I'm just in a commanding position. They can make it to another Disarming Voice, but I still have the shield to hide behind. And one more Dragon Tail from the Guzzlord is going to get the knockout. We see a bit of a tricky lead in the next match, Tentacruel into Shadow Gliscor. Now Gliscor can hit for massive super effective damage with the Earthquake, but I can do the same with Scald, and I'm able to outpace in this matchup. I get the Scald before they make the Earthquake, and now I'm looking for a shield and a potential debuff. I get the shield and I get the debuff, and with the debuff, I'm fine with letting this through. Opponent baits with a Night Slash, and that makes this even better. They build back up to the Earthquake. I have a shield advantage, so I definitely don't mind shielding. The opponent is going to full send the Earthquake, and now I'm going to fire off another Scald. This Scald is going to do a ton of damage to the opponent. They're double shielding. I'm slightly worried they could have a Poliwrath in the back, so I'm going to save switch here. Opponent is going to bank energy. They send in Virizion. I try and go for the Blizzard, but the game stutters a little bit, and it ends up being on alignment. That's extremely unfortunate, as giving an entire double kick for free, that's a lot of energy to the Virizion. And we're going to see here, with that free energy, they're now able to outpace, make it to a second move before I get to the Thunder. That is really not ideal, as they're able to pick up the knockout. I send back in the Tenta. Tenta is able to get some farm. Gliscor does have a lot of energy. They banked a ton before switching. I shield, and it is going to be a Night Slash. This is only going to be a Night Slash. This is not enough for the Earthquake, so I will be able to withstand this damage. And now I'm going to go for the Scald. No shields remaining for the opponent, so the Scald is guaranteed to pick up a knockout. It all depends what they have in the bag, and it's a Tapu Fini. Oh no. Of course, Tentacruel is so good here, but my Tentacruel has almost no HP left. I'm going to go for the Scald. Scald gets the debuff. I continue to farm. I have to hope to try and catch a Surf, but I'm unsuccessful. They're debuffed, but this is a double super effective Moonblast. Can I somehow survive? Moonblast, I survive, but not well enough to make it to a move. And this is a sad day, as Tentacruel is going to get knocked out by the Tapu Fini. I just did not have enough HP to clutch that endgame. Alright, moving into the next match. We're picking up a lost lead here, Tentacruel into Giratina. I'm going to save switch into the REGICE. REGICE farming up a ton of energy. Opponent going to send in the Poliwrath, and here we go. One of the reasons why I really like the coverage on REGICE is it can threaten both the Poliwrath if they decide to switch it in, or the Giratina if they decide to stay in. I'm already at a second Thunder here. I'm able to force a shield. Even if they don't take a very long time to switch in, we are going to see that REGICE does win the zeros here. My opponent forced to fire off energy. They go for the Scald as I make it to Thunder number 3. And now I can send in the Tentacruel and look for an aggressive farm down. I'm probably going to get debuffed by a Scald. The Scald debuff does apply, but I can leave with a Blizzard, and Blizzard, of course, will be extremely threatening to Giratina. They're firing off another move. I'm going to let this go. It is going to be another Scald. Do we see another debuff? No, we do not. I continue to farm. In comes the Giratina. Giratina firing off energy. This is a single debuffed Blizzard, but honestly, to me, it still feels worth throwing it, as it can then set up a farm down for the Guzzlord. So I fire off the debuff Blizzard. That still does a nice amount of damage, and now I can send in the Guzzlord. I know that I can tank one, and then if they make another one, I'll have a choice to make whether I decide to shield, or instead, if I decide to just let it go with 2 shields. But I decide to shield. I want to try and preserve some HP. I'm going to leave with a lot of energy. And now, what does my opponent want to do? They have a very low health for Poliwrath that they could go for a catch, and there they try for it. They bring in the Talon. They did not throw a fast move. They brought in the Talon, they waited, so I knew, since I didn't see a move start, that I could just farm until they tried to go for the catch, and at this point, we have the game won. So a very nice attempt by my opponent there. It's very tough to try and catch moves when you're running a 5-turn Pokemon, because once you click that fast move, you are stuck there for 5 turns, so my opponent did what they could, but unfortunately, Guzzlord will be able to take the win. Picking up a very positive lead in the next match, Tentacruel into Golisopod. This is a very tough spot to be in as the Golisopod. Opponent is going to save switch into Steelix. Oh no, I was out here thinking Steelix was extinct, but it's back with a vengeance, and it's running Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs, of course, will lower the defense, whereas Breaking Swipe would lower my offense. I'm now debuffed. I'm able to land the Scald, get an attack debuff, and now I can send in the REGICE. REGICE, not going to be able to pick up a knockout from this range with a Blizzard as they go for the Psychic Fangs, but my goal here is going to be just to try and get as much damage as I can and maybe set up a nice farm down. I go for the Blizzard. That does a ton of damage. They're firing off energy. This is not nearly enough for an Earthquake, so I'm going to let this through. They are running Breaking Swipe. They get an attack debuff, and they're going to send in the Golisopod. But even debuffed, Thunder does a lot of damage here. I fire off the Thunder. Opponent lets that through, and Thunder, even when debuffed, is going to cleanly 2-shot. I'm firing off another Thunder. This Thunder is going to be shielded up by the Golisopod. I continue to farm. I decide, you know what? I'm going to save the REGICE. REGICE seems to be very valuable into their team, so instead, I'm going to send in the Guzzlord, as it's very unlikely they're running X-Scissor, as then their lead and their save switch would just get completely destroyed by Poliwrath. I continue to farm. They make another move. They hit so much energy on this Golisopod. It's going to be the Aerial Ace, and the Dragon Tail is able to get the KO. In comes the Steelix. I was a little worried they would make a move, so I decided to fire off the Dragon Claw. In hindsight, I probably could have farmed down. In the back, it's a Lowland Sandslash. And this is very, very playable for me. I fire off the Brutal Swing. I'm going to throw 2 Dragon Tails, wait a turn, and catch what should be an Ice Punch onto the Tentacruel. And it is. And with that, the game's just over. My opponent can go for a drill run here, but I have 2 shields to hide behind as the Tenta, so I'm in a very good spot. All I have to do once I get the final shield is commit to a Scald on the Tenta, and then once they go for the drill run, then I can just make it to a Brutal Swing on my Guzzlord, and the game has concluded. I get the attack debuff. It's honestly not going to matter too much. At this point, I can just let this go. This is perfectly fine. My opponent needs the drill run. They go for an Ice Punch. That will not cut it, and I'm able to make it to the Scald. So the catch in the endgame there definitely was very helpful. And despite a bit of a scary team there with the Steelix and that Alolan Sandslash, we take the win. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Tentacruel into Giratina. I'm going to save switch into the REGICE. Opponent is going to respond with Greedent. Greedent, ever spammy with Mudshot. They're firing off the Crunch. Do they get the debuff? They do get the debuff. So a bit of good luck goes my opponent's way. I fire off the Blizzard. Blizzard is shielded, opponent respecting a potential Focus Blast, but honestly, I didn't really find that I missed Focus Blast all that much in these battles. The Bolt Beam coverage is just really nice. I continue to farm up. I'm going for another Blizzard. Blizzard, of course, not going to be able to knock out by any means. Greedent is extremely bulky, but it does do quite a lot of damage. I continue to farm up here, anticipating when my opponent will throw, and I'm able to make a catch as they go for the Crunch onto the Tentacruel, and they get another debuff. Oh my goodness. Crunch is only at 30% debuff, so very unfortunate for me that they got 2 and 3 chances. They go for the Dragon Claw. Even with the debuff, I should be able to make it to the Blizzard, and it looks like that is charge attack priority. I'm firing off the Blizzard. Blizzard connects. That does massive damage, and at this point, I'm just going to let the Tentacruel go. I've saved the REGICE in case I need it in the endgame, and now I'm just going to be sending in the Guzzlord. In comes the Guzzlord. Guzzlord, I of course get the Dragon Tail through as they fire off their energy. It is going to be the Dragon Claw. Can I get the farm down here? No, the Giratina right as the Dragon Tail was about to KO makes it to one final move. I decide to just save my shields. And in the back, it's another Steelix. You've got to be kidding me. And I'm just going to get KO'd with 2 shields here. There is not a way to win this game, so I resign the match. And hopping to the final match, we have Tentacruel into Shadow Dragonite. Okay, I don't mind playing out this lead as the Tentacruel. I will typically farm up to the Blizzard and bait with the Scald. Opponent doesn't throw first, which is a bit unusual. I'm going to be firing off the Scald. The Scald connects. They're now going to save switch into their own Tenta. Here, I bank a Scald, but realistically, what I should have done was just bring in the Regice right away, as now I'm going to get outpaced, and they could get a Scald debuff, and they do. But here's the crazy thing about Regice. Even though they got a Scald debuff, look at this Thunder damage. Oh, they actually end up shielding that, so we don't get to see it. But the Thunder damage, the Thunder is still going to do quite a lot to Tentacruel. Tentacruel is going to be fired off the Scald. Scald connects. I get debuffed for a second time, and look at this Thunder damage. Even after 2 debuffs, that still does a solid amount to the Tenta. So Regice putting in an amazing amount of work, and now I can send in the Guzzlord. Honestly, at this point, I had lost count. Opponent tries to go for a CMP tie, but I just go for the extra. They go for the Scald. I shield. I get debuffed again. That's really unfortunate. I'm a little worried that I can't get the farm down, so out of an abundance of caution, since I had lost count, I go for the Dragon Claw to pick up the knockout. They send in the Dragonite. They don't throw their energy. They get Dragon Tail down, and the opponent is going to resign the match. All in all, I had a lot of fun getting to use Regice. I feel like Regice kind of solved the dilemma that I was having with Greedent in this line, whereas if I ran Trailblaze, I could win the zeros versus Poliwrath, but if they sent in a Giratina or a Ghost type, then it got a lot more difficult, whereas Regice, having that Bolt Beam coverage, the ability to cover against both Poliwrath and Giratina, I found very valuable, and it has quite a lot of bulk to it as well, so I don't feel like I'm sacrificing a massive amount of bulk when switching from the Greedent to the Regice. Overall, I believe I did go slightly positive with this team at leaderboard rank. There were definitely some games that I could have played better and potentially had a win con, but I did really end up enjoying getting to use Regice, and that coverage that it has feels really strong into the current meta. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.